Mike Florio today said he expects, or he wouldn't be surprised if the 49ers make Brandon Aiyuk play out his fifth-year option. Last week at the owners' meetings, Lynch was asked point blank if that's an option, and he said, yeah, absolutely. Then he was asked if Brandon Aiyuk wants to do it. He said, you have to ask him. Do you think it could actually come to this?
Now, I think this is a good question. Could I see it coming to this? Yes, in the sense that, unfortunately for Brandon Aiyuk in today's world, the only leverage he has is what he puts on social media, because Brandon Aiyuk is contractually obligated to play out his fifth year with the 49ers. You can't sit out anymore. You're fined. You lose money. You lose a year of service. You're going to just be on that fifth year option a year later. And so he really ultimately doesn't have a choice. Now, do the Niners want that? I don't think so. I think they're going to try and find a middle ground. You see this kind of relationship happen during these extension negotiations, specifically with the Niners. I think that they're going to get an extension hammered out at some point. But could he play on the fifth-year option? Yes, because the Niners technically have 3 years of team control. You got the fifth-year option, and then you could probably tag him for 2 years before moving on. You get 3 more years, and arguably that's the current window with this core for a Super Bowl.
And isn't that sort of like the Niners' leverage here? It's like, okay, Brandon, you can say that you're worth whatever you're worth, but let's say he wants $27 million a year on average. Okay, well, could give that to you, or not, make you play for $14 million this year, maybe $21 million next year, and then figure it out after that. So the Niners, if they want to play hardball, can get Brandon Aiyuk at a greatly reduced price, and there's nothing he can do about it other than be upset. So maybe that's something he needs to negotiate against.
I think that's one thing. The other part is, Brandon, do you want money up front? Because that $14 million is his salary. It's not like you get the $14 million at the beginning of the year. You're getting it in game checks week by week. Whereas if you get an extension, the biggest part of it is a signing bonus, where you might get $20 to $30 million in a check or whatever form, a wire transfer straight
That's
up.
That's how I prefer to get my $20 million in one payment. That's how I like it.
Yeah.
Just saying. Didn't mean to cut you off. I just got really excited about the idea of a $20 million check. Haven't had one of those in a while.
Just imagine, next year. Just having that just slide in your bank account, just like, it's a sweet 20 mil, just like it's there.
Oh, and I'm set for life. That was nice.
Appreciate doing business. Time to sit the bench.
I mean, there's actually like no reason not to do this for the 49ers unless you really don't want to make Brandon Aiyuk upset. But it's like, it's business. And if he is unwilling to budge, then why should the 49ers not do this?
I think that, if you're talking about it in that sense, it's not the fact that they don't want to do it. It's the fact that you understand two things. One, the market for receivers is only increasing. You see contract after contract getting, massive. And the Niners are going to be having to pay probably a good amount of money, more than Deebo Samuel, to Brandon Aiyuk. And so to them, it's, do you question, when you're trying to build this roster out, understanding how you've already had to let go of one franchise icon in Ark Armstead for practically nothing? What's the best way to do it? The second portion of it, to me, is for Aiyuk. Aiyuk understands that there are still a number of extensions waiting to happen at receiver. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, T. Higgins, even in his own class. There are a couple of in his own class that are still yet to be extended. Aiyuk understands the business of the NFL. The longer you wait, the later you are in the cycle, the more chance you are to get more money. The Niners might want to play ball and try and get something done before those guys. Aiyuk himself, understanding he's going to get paid one way or another, might hope to, wait a little bit, maybe go till August, and then get the biggest bag out of the group, understanding that he was able to wait it out and get see what the baseline was for the other deals.
One thing that might be like a difference between Aiyuk's situation and Deebo's situation was that Deebo was a second round pick. So he doesn't make that much money. And his option of like playing on the final year of his rookie contract wasn't appealing at all. Aiyuk's different, and I'm sure he wants that extension, but it's like he's made $12 million in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And you know what I mean? Like if he probably saved a lot of that. It doesn't look like he spends as much as Deebo. And also, if they don't get an extension, he still gets $14 million this year. So he does have a little bit more, I don't know, wiggle room, leverage. I don't know what the word is, but it seems like he can be more
He has a little more flexibility because
That's
he's still
the word.
making money. I
Yeah.
think that's the case. The one other aspect of it is it's an interesting dynamic, right? Because with the team, Brandon Aiyuk, they get the 5th-year option. So they have that. With Deebo, the desire to get a deal done, you might have had to get it done a little earlier, but you didn't have a 5th-year option. He's a free agent after that. And so there's still leverage because you have the franchise tag and things like that. But Ayuk also could sit more comfortably, understanding he still has $14 million of guaranteed money waiting on him if he chooses to just wait a few months and get $10 million more overall.
Yeah, it would be interesting if this plays out where the Niners kind of count on Brandon Aiyuk giving them a discount so he can get his signing bonus. Working with them. And Aiyuk could essentially bet on himself and say, no, I'll take the 14 million and then we'll see what happens after that. But it would be interesting. If he's really confident that he's a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL, play out your 5th-year option and then hit the open market, or do what Kirk Cousins did in Washington, just get franchise tag after franchise tag, and eventually be the first wide receiver to get the first fully guaranteed contract in like 2-3 years.
Now, I'll be curious to see who gets that one, because that is a whole nother discussion. I mean, if we get to that point, I think all hell's going to break loose in the NFL.
Pretty much. Corey wants to know your thoughts on the Seahawks now that Mike Macdonald is the head coach.
I don't think too much changes. I mean, he's a very good defensive coordinator, arguably the best in the NFL. At least one of the guys up there last year. Might change your philosophy a little more, but I don't know if you're thinking about them versus the Niners. I don't think too much changes. They're fielding a similar roster. Perhaps there's a desire to maybe rebuild a little bit, go a little younger. He's a good head coach, going to make it a little difficult for the 49ers on that defensive side. We'll see how he's able to do it. But ultimately, I think it also comes down primarily to the personnel. I don't think much changed.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they still have Geno Smith as their quarterback, is what I want to say about that.
And that's the argument. Don't you always bring that up anytime we play the Seahawks? If Geno's the quarterback, you feel the Niners are going to win?
Of course they are. It's Geno. No offense, but it's Geno. The thing with Mike Macdonald, every defense, every team that wants a good defense is looking at what he did last year. Those simulated pressures. Can you explain? It's like showing blitz, showing that there are potentially 6 or 7 rushers, but only 4 come, and you don't know which one they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty much. That's what it is. And they do such a good job of confusing offenses pre-snap. I mean, it seems like the Niners were trying to get some of that. Spagnuolo can do it. They tried to hire Spagnuolo. They hired Brandon Staley, who has some experience with that. So I could see where the Seahawks are coming from. They had one of the more vanilla defenses for the last 10 plus years. But I wonder, how much is he going to change other than some schematics on defense?
I think because, like I said, to me, it's truly up to the personnel. The Ravens were able to do so many intriguing things last year, but you had 3 very high caliber safeties who were able to be versatile, allows you to play, in different packages. Along the defensive line, they have an elite defensive tackle. You had pretty solid corners, good edge rushers. You had good personnel that allowed you to blend in all the other things that Macdonald did to make that team so good. So to me, it might take a little longer to try and get to that personnel.